Hello everybody, and just here and welcome back to Tensei Shitara Ken Deshita. That's the title, if I'm not mistaken, and I am not. This is exactly the title I remembered, aka the Sword Isekai, where a cat girl is a spell sword guts, essentially. That's about the gist of it. Right. In the previous episode, we finally got, maybe not finally because we did get some combat, but we finally got a fight that that Fran wanted to be a part of, right? We got to fight goblins. It's always goblins, isn't it? It's either goblins or orcs. Although, no, it's usually just goblins. Orcs like the second step in the adventure of every anime adventurer. The first one is always goblins, or maybe some like mutated magical animals. That's also fairly common. But yeah, we got some fight. Fran saved some people while being on an adventurer quest, essentially. A very simple quest, gathering some herbs. Thanks to Shishou, she was able to gather them real fast, real quick. And then she saved adventurers. And now she's facing against goblins. And having a bit of a hard time, honestly. Because although her sword is powerful, although Shishou can bestow upon her multiple different skills, there are limitations to her stamina, there are limitations to her body, right? There are limitations to her mind. She can get exhausted. When she gets hit, she feels pain. So those things are not going away. And yeah, she's having a hard time. The initial wave she fought off without any issue, but then more goblins started appearing, and there seems to be no end to them. And the previous episode ended on a little bit of a cliffhanger. Like, will she get hurt? Won't she get hurt? Why the fuck did my camera freeze? Are you good now? You're good now. Okay, cool. Great. Right. A bit of a cliffhanger. That's where we ended the previous episode. Besides that, the rest of the episode was mostly just fluff. Finding some clothes. Or was it the previous one? Uh, the last time I watched like two. Did I watch two episodes one after another last time? Or was it a different show? Can't remember. The recent days, the recent weeks, the recent months have been a blur to me, honestly. But yeah, she has some new clothes in any case. She has some new armor, like good and proper armor. Right, she got armor in the previous episode, I think. Yeah, because we met the blacksmith. In episode 1 was the prologue, episode 2 was registering at the Adventurers Guild, episode 3 was meeting the blacksmith and meeting the blacksmith and fighting the goblins. Yeah, she has proper armor now and a promise of better armor in the future because better armor is already in the making. It's just waiting for her to return. And Shisha has a scabbard, so that's also cool. He's not gonna be running around naked anymore the way Fran was running commando, apparently. But thankfully, seamstress ex machina and got her some underwear and some nightwear and things like that. So things are looking up for Fran and for Shishou in the long run. But in the short run, well, their survival is put to question by the goblins. They will probably survive, like, I have absolutely no doubts about it. We wouldn't have the anime if that didn't happen. But there is supposed to be tension, so I'm gonna play along and I'm gonna feel tense for the future of Fran. And right now, we're gonna see that future, and you're gonna need the subs to sync up your own copy to see what's going on. I'm gonna need my sound to hear what's going on, and I'm gonna have to ask you for your support the channel, please, monetarily on Patreon Throne if you can, and if you can't, or if you don't want to spend any money, you don't have to. Sharing the content, spreading the word, liking, subscribing, commenting, all that just helps the channel a lot and costs you absolutely nothing. And with that out of the way, we can start watching episode 4 of Tensei Shitara Ken Deshita in 3, 2, 1, go. I love the music. That hasn't changed. Okay, bit of a power up. Is that what we're doing? True, she needs to level up. Not wrong. Just help her recover after she gets hurt. Don't like stunt her actions, her fight. Yep, exactly. Leveling up her resistance by taking damage. I love how the music raises when he says that. It was just a graze. Take out the archers first. With a fireball or something, preferably. Yeah, she's a young Goblin Slayer apprentice, isn't she? That kitten has claws. And fangs. Yep. Oh, yes. I love it. I love this shot. Oh, yes. Ah, standing on a pile of bodies. Jesus Christ. It's really just Berserk with lollies. I'm glad I'm watching this series, honestly. I was a little apprehensive when I was browsing what should I watch because of the CG sword, and it seems to just be an isekai trash, so to speak, like the reincarnated as a soda machine, reincarnated as a the ironing board, reincarnated as a shoe, and all sorts of like parody isekais, quote unquote, that more often than not aren't really parody. They're just bad, but are trying to cover it by saying they're a parody. You know what I mean? But no, this is like genuinely good. Like, genuinely. Not any buts, not like good for an isekai, no, it's just good. That's gonna be my fave of this season, honestly. Goblins. Koburi. Couple handos. Dungeon debut. Oh, they found a dungeon. Or goblin hideout. I like it. I like it. I like that. Whatchamacallit? Dungeon isn't some magical, mythical thing that just sometimes appears and nobody knows what it is, right? Goblin hideout is a dungeon. A dragon nest is a dungeon. A crypt full of undead is a dungeon. Not like dungeon itself being a special place, right? Cool. Okay, so maybe it is a magical special place. Okay, I take it back. Yeah, they're probably gonna manage. Couple handos. Yeah, right. Goblin Stampede. We heard about that. Monster Stampede. Why? So, like, weaker goblins were essentially displaced from their hideout because the stronger ones took over? She gonna get the rank up? Yeah, she gonna get a rank up. Ah, we need you to fight, so we're gonna promote you so that you can fight. Gotcha. Cutting through the red tape. Oh, he's just casting repair. I thought he's actually like gonna, hammer out all the kings and whatnot, but no, it's just a spell. Cool. Arcane blacksmith makes sense. Okay. So at some point, it's just more economic to buy brand new armor than keep repairing it. Although, can't you just repair it manually? Takes time, sure, but It's always the dungeon core, huh? Okay, so if like a dragon becomes a dungeon master, you're fucked. If it's a goblin, then it's probably not that bad. So just dailies, essentially, or weeklies. He's neither, it seems. He's evil because he creates those dungeons, but he's good because he's rewarding the adventurers. Cool. Is it gonna be special? Or just a normal piece of wood and some leather? I need to rewatch Goblin Slayer one of these days. Gonna find me a reaction and rewatch Goblin Slayer. Yeah, special title. Probably gives you like bonus damage against goblinoids. And she's catatonic. Nothing headbutts cannot fix, though. Doesn't seem that way. Also, do you have a bath in this room? Or are you going to a public bathhouse? Public bathhouse. She's a cat girl, so it cancels out. You can't bring weapons here. Whomst? Oh, it's the girl from the guild. The guild girl. Beer and skewers. Someone's already passed out drunk. Whomst? Oh, interesting. Why would the knights refuse to help? Ah, nobles. That explains things. That's her catchphrase, isn't it? Whomst? Oh, like a high ranking adventurer? Yeah. Amanda the Great Mother. Healer? Mage? Oh, yeah. The disturbance caused by Shishou. Send them a pigeon or something? Or magic communication? They're probably Japanese then. Demigods. Willing to bet we're gonna meet at least three of them. And it's a goddess. Of course, it's a goddess. Actually, he was slain or something. And thus he's no longer considered a god. Okay, so he was slain and sealed. Of course, he was sealed. We can't have him be defeated fully. There has to be a seal. Too much information. Yeah. Does every moon symbolize a deity? There are different colors. I didn't count them, but wouldn't surprise me. And that's a scabbard. Yeah, it is cool looking. Jump right in. Gonna undress and dress up. And also the effect of hiding the sword in the scabbard after a battle is done. No piece of rag can rival that. It's magic. Right, because it's a great sword and you can't exactly like pull it out fully, especially with her short hands. So she can just click it and pull the sword out directly. That's smart. That's smart. That's great design and great awareness of how weapons actually fucking work. Donadrond? Donadrond. Yeah, we heard about that. Control? So not destroy the core, but rather control it. The goblins started attacking first. Yeah. There goes the speech. Those are weak ass adventurers. I guess, yeah, that's also an issue. Probably. Okay, we're rushing in. Oh, she ain't a newbie. She has experience murdering goblins. Yeah, they're just scattering. hub or an orc, ogre, troll. Okay, so we're gonna level up in the cave. Teleportation, super speed. Oh, right. The like air platform things, double jump. I fucking love the music. Fireball? Fireballs. Well, fire magic tri explosion. I mean, it's just fireball, but sure. Just a couple more waves, and you're gonna be done. Or a fireball. Or that. I mean, if it works, it works. Leave it to a spell sword to be powerful, eh? Don't get cocky though. Overconfidence is a slow and insidious killer after all. That's a cool design of this monster. Fuck's that? A chimera, probably? Looks like a chimera. Or some sort of an oni. Could be either. Honestly, so far, one of the few series where I don't really have any criticism. Like, sure, the CG on Shishou could just not be there, and I would probably prefer it. But aside from that, shit's good. Also, I wonder what's her new armor is gonna be. Everywhere she appears, in the opening, in the ending, it's all the same armor, but apparently the blacksmith is working on something better. I just hope they're not gonna cop out of it by saying that, oh, her new armor looks exactly like her old armor did, because, but rather that in the opening and the ending show her old armor essentially. Feeble first dungeon. Okay, we know that there's no after credits scene after those credits, so we can just pause it, go back to the beginning, and go through it again, shall we? Uh, I love this opening scene. The music and the action and the animation, it's just chef's kiss, honestly. I wasn't expecting this amount of quality from this series. I'll be honest with you. I wasn't. The art is appealing, the animations are great and fairly complex, her hair fluttering, the designs with her earring or earband or whatever. everything is just everything is just good. Like sometimes anime has to make a choice, right? Do we go for like complex character designs and worse animation, or do we go for more simplistic character designs, but that will allow us to animate them more and better? Or in which direction do we go? Those motherfuckers decided to say both. And the design of Shishou is incredibly complex. The design of Fran, kind of simple, but not simplistic. There is a lot of detail to her. The cuffs, the hair, the little stitches in her vest, the earring. Shishou in particular. I noticed that in the combat scenes, Shishou isn't CG, right? Everything that happens here, it's not CG. And the sword doesn't phase through her head. This is also cool, interesting. She holds the sword one way, and then she turns it. It doesn't phase through her head. She does a turn, and you can see that in her hands, in her movement. It all makes sense. There's a lot of effort into it, put into it. Yeah. And yeah, of course, Fran has a resolve. She wants to be stronger. She wants to evolve eventually. She doesn't want to run. She wants to help people. And thus, she wants to toe that dangerous line to endure and overcome pain and injury to obtain true strength. She doesn't want to be a sheltered girl who's protected from everything bad that can happen to her. Like, sure, you can lead a happy life that way, but it's not going to make you strong. You need hardships in life. You need injury to learn from that, to grow stronger. Once you fall and scrape your knees, you're gonna know to not do the thing you just did again, or you're gonna know what you did that made you fall, and you will learn, and you will grow stronger. And next time, you will not fall, you will catch your balance, right? And it's the same idea here. Overcome pain and injury to obtain true strength. She's gonna get hurt. She's gonna get injured. Shishou isn't gonna be able to prevent all of that, so might as well start getting used to that. And instead of focusing on preventing Fran from fighting for her, or just trying to stop her, to back her out, just support her, give her a buff, give her a heal. If someone is approaching fast from behind and she doesn't see that someone, tell her. Don't even attack that goblin, tell her. Only if you see that she's in real danger, she's about to be hit in the head with a club or something, then protect her, then kill the attacker. Besides that, let her do that. Let her grow. And if she says she can keep going, believe in her. Believe her, trust her that she can keep going. And support her in that. That's some great lesson on parenting, honestly. I'm gonna be honest. That's some great lesson on parenting. If your kid gets dirty because they've been playing in the mud, clean their clothes, give them a bath, and tell them that hey, yo, don't get dirty anymore. Right? Don't stop them from playing in the dirt. Don't do that. Don't make a sheltered kid. When your kid says, hey, I wanna eat something, I wanna try something, don't say, oh no, you're just 5, you can't have spices yet because a book says so, you can only eat porridge and water. No, give them that. Give them a fucking spoonful of sriracha. They're either gonna love it or they're gonna learn. Right? That's some great lesson. Honestly, I love it. And I love this the most. The color, the sun falling behind the trees, and Fran with a big ass sword. perched on top of a mountain of corpses. That's something you would see in Berserk. That's something you would see in Goblin Slayer. Not even. Not even. And that's something you would see in Tensei Shitara Ken Deshita. My little Fran is so amazing. I concur. One, two, a lot. I guess she doesn't know how to count to more than two yet. No worries. Ah, fuck. We can teach her. That's not a problem. One, two, a lot. A lot is proper. But yeah, 100 or so. That's a decent number. No wonder she's up to level 12. 2 days from now, we're going to the dungeon. Yeah, now's the time to stop her. She's exhausted, the sun is setting, it's not a good idea. Let's not. Before, when she was managing, let her rip. Rip and tear until it is done. Now's the time to fall back, regroup, and rest. Collect the crystals, absorb crystal. That like levels up Shishou, I think. I don't know if something was said about it or not, but the absorb crystal. Because normally crystals in monsters or something, well, normally, in isekais, monsters have crystals in them, you rip those crystals out and you sell them at the Adventurers Guild. I don't know if you can do that in this world, or is it just for absorption and leveling up your weapon? Or at least Shishou, because I don't think every weapon can level up like he can. Also, I love the design of this knight guy with just a breast protector and a plate skirt and this weird ass helmet and this like croissant looking shield. I love it. I love how unique the designs are. Yeah, at least a D rank adventurer. She probably is. She's probably even higher. But she's slowly creeping her ranks up. Right now she's an F. Well, she was a G. Now she climbed to an F. That's fine. That's fine, and that's good, honestly. Again, a breath of fresh air compared to other isekai series that are like, oh, you're a G rank adventurer, but oh, you brought all those monsters and you cleared the dungeon. You're a triple S rank right now. Well, we're skipping a couple, but who cares? You're clearly powerful, right? It gets old, it gets stale, it gets annoying real quick when those isekais just skip any and all sorts of progression. Because sure you get that initial, I guess you can call it a dopamine hit of like feeling of the reward by proxy, jumping immediately from G rank to A rank, right? But from A rank, how far can you grow, really? When a character is the most powerful in the world and he's a gold rank merchant and SSS rank adventurer, where's the room for growth? Nowhere. And thus, many of these isekai series eventually start falling off. Because where you can't give your characters opportunity to grow, it just gets stale and boring. You can keep power upping the enemies, and the enemies are getting stronger and stronger, and there are more of them. And oh no, an otherworldly threat from the god of war who's gonna be descending, and then the main character kills the god of war, and like, where do we go from there? Nowhere. So I like that Fran was only upgraded, only ranked up to rank F, and not like immediately promoted to rank A or something, or even to rank D. No, she's an F. She still has room to grow. And we're gonna follow her growth. And we're gonna fucking like it. I know I will, at least. Also, I love how his mustache is also animated. Isn't just a hideout, probably a full-blown dungeon. 130 little fries and 20 higher tier ones. That's 150 in total. That's a nice number. Nobody tried retreating. But yeah, not retreating means they could not retreat back to their hideout anymore, because they were forced out by stronger, higher tier monsters, like hobgoblins, like goblin shamans and whatnot. So the smaller ones don't want to return there, or cannot return there. Saint Good, we're looking at a stampede. It's always stampede. I take no issue with that. It's just an observation that isekais really do fucking love their monster stampedes, don't they? Issue an urgent call for any adventurers rank F or above. By the way, we're promoting you to rank F so you can fight on the front lines. Reminds me of Yojo Senki, where Tanya was promoted to some completely unused rank that no one has used for decades, but she needed that rank to command a battalion, so she was promoted just for the sake of starting that battalion. Only strong adventurer is Alessa at present. In Alessa, at present, is Donadron, who's rank C. And that other adventurer girl who's investigating the Black Wolf Plains, something Wolf Plains. After defeating a goblin horde of that size on your lonesome, we can hardly allow you to remain true. This is interesting, that he just uses magic to repair the armor. I wonder if it's because of a time pressure, that it's like 2 days until the hunting party and it will take him more than 2 days to repair the armor, or is it simply that it's easier and it saves time and it's in the long run cheaper, because if he had to build them for all the hours and all the materials he would have to spend to fix this armor manually, it would be much more expensive than just the 10k they paid for the magic repair. There probably is a point where magic repair is just more expensive than manual repair, or more expensive than a brand new suit of armor. The more times you fix it, the harder it gets to restore, so we'll need more catalysts. Yeah, I wonder. I hope I'm wrong, but I wonder if Shishou is gonna get like a boatload of this catalyst and they're gonna be able to fix their armor without an issue just out in the field, because Shishou is also gonna learn the skill. I hope not, but it wouldn't surprise me particularly much. Dungeons are created by the god of chaos as trails for mankind. The monster closest to it becomes the dungeon master and a servant of chaos. The intelligence and wisdom of the dungeon master determines the dungeon's design. So again, if it's an intelligent and wisdomous, if it's an intelligent monster with a lot of wisdom, they're gonna create some hard fucking dungeon. And if it's like a bat or a monster centipede or something that gets turned into a dungeon master, it's probably just gonna be a walk in the park. Interesting system. I like it. You can often find precious metals and enchanted items in older dungeons too. That's Chaos's way of rewarding us for completing the trial. Is he a beneficial god? You could see it that way, sure. He's giving away, or she is giving away all that treasure. Interesting. Interesting look at the god of chaos. Very chaotic, I guess. Not evil, because your efforts are rewarded, but not necessarily good either, because those dungeons can get out of control and threaten nearby cities, right? So it's fairly ambivalent. I like it. Stats have gone up like crazy. Race Beastman Black Cat. Class None. Why is there Class None? Isn't she a spell sword? Excuse me very much. Why does it say none? It even says in the subs, is that cause you took the spell sword class? Is it an error in the subs? Did they just copy the subs, the translation for the character sheet from some other episode? Or does it genuinely say none for whatever godforsaken reason? Master Disassembler, Healing Mage, skill Collector, Flame Wielder, Master Cook, Battle Worn, Goblin Killer, Executioner. The label new is next to Battle Worn, if the subs are to be believed, but the new title she got was a Goblin Killer, so what gives? Oh, 3 titles. Okay, so that's a weird way to represent that in the UI. You would expect like new label next to all 3 titles that are new, or like a star asterisk next to them or something, not just new and then all the new. But I guess she did get Battle Worn, Goblin Killer, and Executioner. Cool, cool, cool. She's the Goblin Slayer now, like legit. She has the title. We're taking a bath. And here comes the Guild Girl. And some other girls who probably also work at the guild. Yeah, myself and the other assistants have rooms here. Okay, so they live here. Interesting. Cool. Nom. That's gonna become a GIF, isn't it? Be careful, yeah. And apparently there's some nobleman lieutenant who hates adventurers and refuses to lend a help. I would say just fucking move the adventurers to another city and let the stampede go. But of course, they can't do that. They have conscience. If only they didn't have the conscience, right? It destroys everything. If only Amanda were here. Yeah, the A-rank adventurer. Amanda the Great Mother. We did get her silhouette. She looks like either a healer or a mage. Judging by the Great Mother, could be either. It sounds more like a name for a healer, but again, could be either. Or the circle, or what I think is a circle, could be a whip, and she could just be a whippy warrior. That's also a possibility. Yeah, that's also possible. Mages, all the mages we've seen so far have like funny hats and staves. She doesn't have a staff. She has either a wand or a whip, or some sort of a rapier or something, and doesn't have a funny hat. So probably not a mage, not a healer either. Interesting. I have no doubt we're gonna meet her sooner or later. Sooner rather than later. Chaos is causing us chaos, well, as chaos is wont to do. The 10 strongest came first. The 10 strongest Japanese people. Sun, moon, oceans, earth, fire, storms, forests, and beasts. So that's 9. No, that's 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then the God of the Dead, 9. And the God of War that was torn apart and sealed would be the 10th. Great Wheel of Reincarnation. That's how people are making it into this world, probably. 78 children would make their own marks on the world. Heroes, demigods. Very, very Greek, Roman mythology, right? There were gods who bred and made lesser gods, and those lesser gods lived among humans. Very shit. Even very Slavic mythology. Slavic mythology also has in its like um, myth of creation of man that initially there were like titans, almost giants, and then they had children, lesser ones, and they turned into humans. So that there was those tiers of gods, then demigods, and then humans at the very bottom. Very similar to this, although in Slavic mythology, at least the one I'm familiar with, not humans. Those demigods were created in a very peculiar event where one of the gods was trying to force himself onto a goddess, and his penis was shattered in the process into thousands of splinters. And from those splinters, the Titans were born. Everybody is a dick to some degree. Last of the 10 great gods is the goddess of chaos. Yep. Okay, so the god of war was the 11th one. To keep the world in balance and give humanity the strength to persist. That's a beneficial god, right? Keeping the world in balance, sure, absolutely. Give humanity the strength to persist, sure, right? Giving them some hardships so that they can grow stronger. A bit of a callback to the first scene of this episode, right? When you go through the hardships, that's how you can grow. And the goddess of chaos facilitates that for the entirety of humanity, which is cool, which is great. Her trials are but one of her many machinations. We haven't heard of others, but I'm willing to bet we're gonna eventually. Is she good? I don't know, maybe. Why isn't there a god of war? Because he got so warmongerish that he turned evil and was defeated, split apart, and his pieces sealed. Of course, he was sealed. We were never killing the evil gods. We're never killing the demon lords. We always seal them. That's just how it is, I guess. The parts of him that were sealed away, not sealed away, created fiends like goblins and orcs. I'm willing to bet, probably not in the runtime of this season, but in the light novel, I'm willing to bet there's some cult or something that's trying to assemble the parts of the god of the dead, of the god of war, and resurrect him. I'm willing to bet on that. Yeah, TMI. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so those can't represent the gods, because even the initial ones, there were 8 of them, and there's only 6 moons. So why is there 6 moons? Probably because it looks cool. Who knows, honestly. Elements. Could it be elements? Fire, water, earth, electricity. The purple one would be magic, poison. I don't know. Just trying to find some meaning to those colors and this weird look, this weird formation, and the number of them. I have no clue. And that's the scabbard. Yeah, it already, right from the get-go, it's split in half. I can see that now. Yeah, now I can see that clearly. Animated on ones. Should have done that on twos, honestly. And if it was done on twos, I would be really hard pressed to see that it's CG. But because it's done on ones, it's a dead giveaway. It's a nice ass scabbard. Looks to me like a sword scabbard though. And it can split so that pulling him out is easier. And you can even do that with telepathy. That's cool. That's cool. Like, Zweihanders on backs are cool. They're a cool image. always have been and always will be. But when they have a scabbard, an issue arises. You can't exactly pull that sword out. Now, you can do a trick where you lift out the scabbard from behind you, so it's almost level, and then you pull out the sword, but you're only really limited to a sword that's as long as your arm's reach. You can't really pull out anything much longer than that. So, there are half scabbards that have one blade, the one that goes to your back. It's longer, and then the other one only covers like half the blade, for example, so that you can pull it out actually easier. There are hard to call it a scabbard, more like a holster that also attaches to your back, but has like two prongs, and the hilt of the sword just sits on those prongs. So you essentially just unhook it, and you have it in your hand. This is a cool approach. I like it. I like that we're bringing bits and pieces of realism into this world. Certainly more realistic than the bookshelf he has behind him. It's very flat looking. Good luck on your first dungeon crawl. I love the designs of those people, of their armor, and the headpieces, most of all. Stop the stampede by killing the king and queen. Take control of the dungeon. Set up a temporary base. Haha, you wish. The goblins are rushing straight at you. We're supposed to work as a team, but the adventurers are scattering apart because they're all just F ranks. They probably haven't taken part in any larger operations. They've probably been operating on their own, or maybe in teams of like three, 4 people, not in group this big. So they're panicking. They don't know what to do. They don't have like room to maneuver around because it's a mass of people who are listening to a speech. They're not going to be spread apart. They're going to be amassed in one spot, so it's hard to fight in close quarters like that. The adventurers scattering apart, probably to gain some room to work with. Probably also because they're scared, they're afraid, and some of them are just dying. Goblins are running away. That's cool. That's a cool detail. Kind of bit of gamification, I guess. I don't know how it is in all of the games. I obviously haven't played every single game in existence, but in Sacred, for example, and I think to a degree also in Skyrim and other Elder Scrolls, when the difference between your level and the monster level is too high, the monsters just run from you. It's always fun traveling the world in Sacred and then going back to Bellevue, where all the monsters have grey health bars and are just running away. It's always cool. Her silhouette again on the backdrop of light and blue sky. I love some of the shots, honestly. We won't draw too much attention to ourselves inside the cave. Why is the fact that she's stabbing the crystals something worth keeping to themselves? Probably because normally crystals are being gathered and sold, and people don't have weapons that need leveling up. Probably. And she's using early unique skill for high tier classes. Spell sword sounds plenty high tier to me. Excuse you. Fire magic, tree explosion. She can use fire magic. She can use any sort of magic, honestly. And she can cook. Fire stream, or whatever it was called. No emotion on her face. Just murdering hordes of goblins just like that. And we're rushing in. I like the design of this goblin thing. I don't know if it's Goblin Queen or Goblin King, but I love the asymmetry. the asymmetric eyes. A random monster summoning brought us the strongest class of a monster. It looks either like a demon with like those tufts, this tuft and this tuft visible inside of the staff being like arms, like elbows, and it's making like this pose or just this pose or something like that, and it's floating in the sky, in the air, has horns, has what seems to be a long white hair, and it's bipedal, has wings and has a tail, so probably a bipedal flying demon, or it could be a chimera. That's like the most common type of a high tier monster in fantasy series and in isekais, so it might be a chimera. I don't know. Time will tell. Edie. And the title of the next episode. And the title of the next episode. The Feeble First Dungeon. Exactly. We're going to raid Shadow Legends. We're going to raid our very first dungeon in the very next episode. Yeah. Story is a work of fiction, if you didn't know that yet. That was a great episode. Starting from the first scenes to the very end, very high octane, but also not tiring in that way, where sometimes you have shows where it's just battle, 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 battle. Let's talk a little battle, 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 battle. No, there's some combat, there's some talking, there's some bonding, there's some doing of all the auxiliary stuff like getting new armor, fixing the armor, finding a place to sleep, taking a bath, talking with people about this dungeon, what can we expect there, setting up the god of chaos, right? All that jazz. It's not just combat and combat and combat, and I appreciate that very much. Combat is great. And I love the fact that they're using 2D Shishou for combat. You'd expect that Shishou would be 2D in those like comb, static almost shots and CG in combat, but they did it the complete opposite way. Because in combat, it has to look good. And the only thing that looks good when a 2D character fights 2D monsters is 2D weapons. That's the only way it can feel and look good. Because 2D impact on 2D works. 2D holding 2D works. When any of those three elements between main character, weapon, and monsters is made CG, the point where those two meet stops working suddenly. It's not an issue with slice of life shots, so to speak. Because when Shishou is just levitating on top of a counter, it's not he's not coming into contact with any monsters. There's no impact. There's nothing touching anything else. So it can be CG, and it's not really a big deal. When Shishou is just sitting somewhere in the corner, that too can be a CG model because it's perfectly static. Doesn't need to move. Doesn't need to contact with anything. It's just there, part of the background almost. But during combat, it matters to give us proper impact, proper point of contact between Fran's hands and Shishou's hilt. In earlier episodes, I had the suspicion they might have made Fran's hands from cuffs to like the palms, just cut off at cuffs, and her palms made CG so that it works with CG weapon. And I still think that's what they did in the early episodes. But now they're not doing that. Now they're opting for full 2D. And I like it. And I'm grateful. And I'm thankful. Why else? It's a good sign. It's a good sign because very often you see It was an issue in Ruby, for example, the Ice Queendom. It had many issues when it comes to art and animation and stuff like that. But one of the issues was that some of the combat, some of the fights didn't feel good, didn't feel real, because they were just CG model that gets just whoop 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 translated, right? Someone grabbed it in Blender and just started moving it around, and that just looked like shit. And the explanation was that yeah, they're saving up their budget and time on those combat scenes because the finale will be great. The finale will be proper and good animated, and it was. But usually the sign. Um, but yeah, what was my point again? My point was that in this series they're not skimping on budget, on animation, on art budget early on, which means probably and hopefully that we can expect them to keep that level of quality, or we can expect the finale to be of even higher quality. Sometimes it happens that a series just dumps its entire budget in the first few episodes, and then the rest gets progressively worse because they made like 6 episodes, and then it was like, oh shit, we have like a deadline in 3 months, and we gotta make like 6 episodes in 3 months. Throw in some CG, throw some sliding PNGs, throw some static shot, reverse shot. I don't think that's going to happen. So far, nothing leads me to believe that we will see any sort of a drop in quality. That's great, because this sort of a quality is very hard to come by, and it's wild that we can see that in a show that many probably treated as isekai trash. Honestly, wouldn't surprise me if many people completely discounted this show as just seasonal isekai trash or lolly bait or something along those lines, because it has so much more to offer than that. Not because. Uh, how should I put it well? I pity those people because it has so much more to offer than what just the poster and the promo material can show you. Uh, yeah, it's been a great series so far. I also like the moments of grounding this series a little bit in reality, so to speak. For example, with the sword, with the scabbard, right? She needs a way to pull the sword out of a scabbard. She has short arms, she's short, she won't be able to just keep Shishou on her back and pull him out of the scabbard without some mechanism that opens the sheath. Not the sheath, the scabbard. Great. I like the bit with magic able to fix armor, but you need progressively more as you keep fixing it, because it means that they can't just carry all that from a certain point. They can just carry all of that, all of those magic crystals with them to do some field repairs, because it would just take up an entire backpack or whatever. Now Shishou has like a magic storage box, so it's probably not an issue, but it works for adventurers, for example, where they can't exactly carry all they need to fix their armor. They can't even lug an arcane blacksmith with them. Some of the higher profile adventure guilds, adventure groups, parties, I can see them taking a blacksmith with them, but that blacksmith from a certain point can't just carry enough crystals to fix everything. That's a cool bit of limitation. I also love how the goblins didn't wait for Donadront to end his speech for the last hurrah and align yourselves in lines. I'm going to take the vanguard. Let's do it. Let's enter in proper formation. No, they're not waiting for that. They're not giving you a chance. They see enemies in front of their cave. They're going out there and starting to kill them. Makes perfect sense, and I like it. I really, really, really do. Another thing that many series do very often is that uh, is that the bad guy, the enemy, gives the heroes a chance to like regroup and talk and have a speech and have a monologue and things like that. It's not as jarring when it comes to human enemies, because they can be like super cocky and super full of themselves and like, oh yeah, you can talk, it's not going to change anything, I'm going to defeat you anyway, right? That sort of an approach, that sort of an enemy character can work. But when it comes to monsters, why would they wait? Why would they not just attack? Well, they wouldn't wait, they would just attack, which is exactly what they did. Double thumbs up for that, honestly. Yeah, there is nothing in this series so far that would disappoint me in any measure, besides the fact that they should have really animated Shishou in 24 frames to fit better with the rest. But that's just such a minor nitpick that it doesn't really matter. And I don't have anything else to nitpick. The art is great, the animation is great, the character designs and the world design is just outstanding. The characters, not just from the design standpoint, but from the like personality standpoint. Also, nothing, absolutely nothing I can think of against them. The world is expansive, and you can see that there's so much more in it, so much undiscovered things that I'm super pumped to discover eventually. Very unique, very good show. Very unique for an isekai, not just from the perspective of being a sword, but overall, if instead of Shishou he was reincarnated into just a dude, it wouldn't change all that much. Honestly, it would still be a good series. If it wasn't an isekai, it would still be a good series. So, yeah, yep. Definitely one of the better series I'm watching right now. If not one of the best, if not the best, honestly, genuinely. But yeah, right now I think that's gonna be it. But maybe you have something to add. Maybe you have something to say about this episode, about my reaction, about my theories. What did you think of them? If you do want to talk spoilers, don't do that in the YouTube comments though. I wanna watch this series completely blind without knowing anything about the source material. Police or something. I but if you do want to talk spoilers, there's Discord here, also link in the description. You can join it. There's a channel dedicated specifically to this anime, and you can use spoiler tags and talk spoilers to your heart's content in that very channel. Subscribe to my channel on YouTube to be notified of future releases of not only Sword Isekai but also Novice Alchemist. What else? Symphogear Axis, Madoka Magica, the finale is gonna be coming fairly soon, and there's also the movie that I'm gonna be watching, and Gundam Witch from Mercury. That's also something I'm watching, and I also stream sometimes when I have the time. I don't have much recently, but whenever I do, I sometimes do stream. So you might want to stay subscribed to be notified of that with the bell icon and all that jazz. Like this video if you liked it, dislike it if you disliked it, but tell me why so I can improve. Support the channel if you want monetarily on Patreon or Throne, links in the description. On Patreon for $10 a month to get early access to non-seasonals like Madoka Magica, like Symphogear, like whatever's gonna come in the future, and for just $1 you get a role on the Discord and you also get a place in the credits. On Throne you can pitch in directly towards my purchase of better lighting, better camera, stuff like that, and if you don't want to spend any money whatsoever, you can still help the channel a lot by sharing my content, spreading the word, also liking, subscribing, and doing all that other jazz. And with that out of the way, that's gonna be it from me for today. So as always, you guys do all the good stuff, and I'm gonna see you in the next one. Cheers. And here's the list of patrons, here's the credits, and you can be one of those people if only you so desire.